So her sister, her younger sister, I'm assuming, had a sleepover with a bunch of her friends. And in the morning, she checks the trash can and realizes that there's a positive pregnancy test in that trash can. She doesn't know if it's her sister's, if it's somebody else's at the party. So she's reaching out to you guys. If you have some advice, you can hit us up at 1-855-BERT-SHOW. What do you do with that info at this point?
I could really use some advice right now. So a couple of nights ago, my 17-year-old little sister had a sleepover with a group of her friends. Well, I was emptying the trash in our bathroom, and there was a positive pregnancy test in it. Of course, I freaked. The tricky part is that there were 5 girls staying over that night, so I have no clue whose test it is. It could belong to my sister or one of her friends. I'm seriously not sure about what to do next. If the test is my sister's, she might be going through a really tough and confusing time right now. I mean, I'm 22 and can only imagine the fear and confusion she must be experiencing at 17. So I wanted to know that she can talk to me. I thought about telling my mom, too, because she needs to know. The thing is, the test might not even be my sister's. So if I tell my mom, it could mean she runs and talks to the other parents. Part of me also thinks this isn't my problem to even get involved in at this point. So I don't know what to do. I just know I want to do the right thing.
Oh, Lordy. That's how I handle it. Oh, Lordy.
My gut reaction would be to ask my sister about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just because you can't make any decisions until you have all the facts, and you don't have all the facts. And I mean, maybe it's one of those hoax pregnancy tests that they got off the internet and they were planning on doing something stupid. Like there's like a million different reasons.
Aren't those fun?
Yeah, I know. And they exist, which is, as a person who struggled to get pregnant, no, I don't find particularly funny. But so she needs to immediately go to her sister and be like, hey, I was taking out the trash and saw this. Can you please explain? And don't literally say less. You don't need to you don't need to be like, is this yours? No, I found this in the trash. Can you please explain? And then let her take it from there.
Yeah, I think you got to handle this with sensitivity also. Because like she said in the email, I mean, you already have this empathy thing going on where you're like, your sister is probably freaking out. If this is your sister's even. You got a 1 in 5 shot here. 20%, right? Yeah. So if it is her, she's freaking out. She doesn't know who to turn to, right? So having a reasoning voice coming at her with empathy, saying, how do I help you or one of your friends, I'm guessing is the best way to go, right?
Yeah, I don't know that I would come out her being like, can you please explain what this is? I think I would probably be like, hey, just letting you know, I was using the bathroom the other day and I saw this in the trash can. Are you good? Is this yours? Is this one of your friends? And I would come at it more from a how can I help standpoint, because if I'm 17 and I'm pregnant, I'm terrified. Mm-hmm. And so I think you got to approach it as gently as possible.
I think that's the best way to go. You don't want to assume in this situation, and it's not like you went digging through some things to find that you were just emptying the trash, so I don't think there's anything wrong with just approaching her from that standpoint of you trying to help.
If this happened to you, Mo, and you got 10 sisters.
Yeah, I got a few of them.
How would you handle it? I mean, this could be a real life scenario for you.
Yeah, I would go to my sister. I wouldn't want to go to mom or dad or anybody else without having all of the information. So if I genuinely wanted to help, which is what I would want to do, I think the best thing to do would be to just go to my sister one-on-one and ask her some questions.
And if you're going to throw away your pregnancy test, wrap it in toilet paper.
Well, that's what I was going to say is 17-year-olds aren't dumb. Mm-hmm. And so I think you know how to dispose of something you don't want other people to find. So if you're just tossing it into a trash can, either on the top layer or just slightly buried, I think there's a part of you that wanted it to be found so that you could get some help.
I just want to disagree with you on one thing. You said teenagers are smart.
No. Mm.
No, I said they aren't dumb. I didn't say they were smart. I said they're not dumb. They're not like different things.
Some wiggle room.
They're not dumb when it comes to doing clandestine stuff they don't want other people to find out about.
Let's say careless. Careless. Let's not make it an intelligence issue.
I'm going to be honest. If that were me at 17 and I didn't want anyone to know, I would find a way. I took pregnancy tests in college. And I remember it was the first one I ever had to take, and I was so paranoid, and I found a way to get them delivered to me in unmarked packaging so that no one would ever find out, even though I was in a dorm and it wouldn't have mattered. So my point is, I think if a teen wants to hide something, they're clever at they can figure out a way to make sure it's not seen. Anyone knows tossing a pregnancy test into a trash can, there's a high probability of it being found.
I was not one of those clever teenagers.
No. And Cassie, how old were you when you put the dead cat in the steak box?
Well, that was actually incredible. Like, you're acting like that's dumb, but the cat I was cat sitting for got run over.
You killed it.
Right before Christmas. Yeah, I did. It got out by mistake, and they delivered it back to me. And I knew the owners would want to dispose of the cat itself, and all the vets were closed. I worked at a vet, surprisingly, because it was Christmas. And so I basically put the body on ice in an Omaha steak styrofoam container.
Right next to a pregnancy test.
Yes. That's what kept it frozen the best. It was like a popsicle.
Hey, Angelica, good morning. If you were giving advice to her about her 17-year-old sister, what would it be?
Oh, good morning.
Morning.
Hey. I took a pregnancy test one time, and I mean, so far up until that point, all of them had always been negative, so I never knew what a positive one looked like. I guess it takes time for them to develop. So I threw it in the trash can, and my mom was over, and she found it, and it had turned positive, and I had no idea until I took a second one. And I told her a couple days later, I was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And she just wasn't acting very surprised. And she's like, yeah, I know. I found that one test in the bathroom. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, it was positive. And it was really crazy.
See, there's so many different scenarios here. She may not even know one of her friends is pregnant or she's pregnant if they just tossed it and it developed later.
Yeah, I'd go right to her and say, hey, let's talk about this thing that I found.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Bert Show.
Hey, did you like what you just watched? Good news, there's more of us. If you go to wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's Apple or Google Play or Spotify, you can listen to The Bert Show wherever you are, whenever you want to.